American reality, the people are presented with representations of real-life kings and queens through the medium of the Black Research Institute, BRI. These are their stories.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Negus Denoris Wilson. I see you, Nene. My name is Negus Denoris Wilson, and you are now tuned in to the Culture Interview Hour with the Black Research Institute. And as I start every night or every Monday, welcome everybody to the BRI, where the meaning is the truth and our limit is the sky. See, I try to merge entertainment with information, and the icing on the cake is a dope conversation. Ain't no time for the faking, debating, or the hating. I'm trying to hip you all to the moves they be making. They all struggle, but still find a way to make a way. Fight back, count stack, stay black all day. So I seek to supply you all with inspiration, with information to remedy our present situation. By showing you examples of Black royalty, and you never have to question my intent of loyalty. We're moving forward with the strength that's supremely kinetic. We're confident. We're Black. We're unapologetic. Instilling self-love is what really re-hope. No doubt about it, Black people. We dope. We are dope. And as soon as we all realize that, the better off the whole world is going to be. We make the world go round. And tonight, I got a young lady, man. I've been knowing this young lady 20 years, I guess. I don't know. I don't want to tell my age, but about 20 years. And I met her in college, and we've been good friends ever since. I think I'm probably the only one that was ever on Southern Campus University that wasn't from Bridgeport that called her Nene. You know what I mean? Like, I think I'm the only non-Bridgeport dude that calls her Nene. So when we gonna come back, you see her in the back. When we come back, we're gonna meet tonight's guest. I'm excited. I haven't talked to Nene in a long time, so I want to chop it up with her. So when we come back, we're gonna meet Miss Tonisha Cohen King.
What's good, everybody? It's your girl Masterpiece, and you can follow me on Facebook. No, that sounded weird. What's good, everybody? I am Masterpiece, and you can follow me on Facebook or Instagram, Masterpiece Poet. But right now, you're tuned in to the BRI, Black Research Institute, with niggas. Niggas? How you want to say niggas? Is it niggas? Niggas? What's good, everybody? It's your girl Masterpiece, and you can follow me on Facebook or Instagram. That's Masterpiece Poet. But right now, you are tuned in to the BRI, Black Research Institute, with Niggas Denoris Wilson. Tune in.
What up? What up? This Chef Jaron Rebel from the What It Do food truck. You on live on the BRI right now with the niggas, Denoris Wilson. And when you get a chance, come on by the What It Do food truck. And I promise you, we're going to grab your taste buds and we're not going to let go. Peace.
hear you. Can you hear me? I can't hear you anymore.
You know what?
Now I
Have
can
my,
hear you.
have my mic on mute. God Almighty.
Okay.
So look, before we start, let me get all these out because we this is a professional event. So let me get all these out. Nini, 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 nini. I gotta get all this out of the way, out of my system. Nini, I gotta get it out of my system because we're doing professional. Hello, Miss Cohen King. How are you?
I am great. How are you?
I'm doing good. It's been a long, long, long minute. Right? I think the last time you and I actually spoke with one another, it was just before you was getting ready to get married. You and your girls had came down to Maryland as a little girls trip, and I wasn't able to meet up with y'all, but I think that was the last time we actually officially spoke. But when I saw that you was a yoga instructor, and I don't know anything about yoga, so you can help me out and help the people that's listening out. But before we start, I got to ask you two questions. So, are you happy?
Am I happy?
Yeah.
I am, because I believe happiness is a choice. So I choose to be.
Okay. Now, are you being safe?
Being safe?
Yes.
Yes, always.
Okay.
Especially with my energy,
Right.
who I allow in, with what I give out. That's first and foremost. So yes, I'm being safe.
Okay. So we can carry on now. So I can't say normally when I get a guest on here, I can say I don't know you from a can of paint, but I can't say that with you, right? Like I can't really say that with you. So you ain't got to introduce yourself to me, but introduce yourself to BRI audience.
Okay, so my name is Tonisha Cohen King, and I am sure you all heard him call me Nini. So Nini is my childhood name. I'm from Bridgeport, Connecticut, born and raised. I'm currently a licensed clinical social worker, therapist, slash yoga instructor, meditation instructor. As he said, I am married. I think it'll be 13 years this year. I have a 11-year-old son and a 5-year-old daughter. I'm a member of Alpha Kappa Alpha sorority, and I love life. I have grown so much, and I believe that healing is available to all because I experienced it. So love to have fun, love to dance. That makes me happy still, Dolores. um
Yeah.
so just, that's who I am in a nutshell.
Okay. So I remember being in Connecticut and I was working at this nonprofit, and you had just graduated.
Mhm.
You had just graduated with your degree, and I was like, "Yo, come up here, put in the application." You remember? Like, come up here, put in the application. Age Project New Haven.
Oh yeah, okay. Wow, lifetime ago.
Yes, yes. And then you wind up getting a job at DCF,
Well, I
Department of
end
Social.
up so this is what happened. I'm gonna tell you a quick story about that. So I interned at DCF. You told me to come there, and I end up interviewing for DCF and getting the job, right? But hear me out. Then I went to this conference because I wasn't sure about, you know, working for DCF, and I had a job interview at another location. It was a women's agency for victims of domestic violence and sexual assault.
In
So I had went
Stanford.
to Nope, it was in Bridgeport. So I
Bridge-
went to this, yeah, I went to this conference, and I wasn't sure what I should do because DCF was going to pay more. It was the state. I was young, thinking about how much money and everything. But I went to this conference, and the speaker said, a lot of women in here are struggling. And if you are one of those women who are struggling and are being abused, I need you to come to the stage. The amount of women that ran to that stage, I was in awe about how many people were actually hurting from this. So that made me not take the job at DCF and actually become a domestic violence and sexual assault counselor. So that was actually my first job out of college.
Nice, nice. I mean, I think if you're doing something that you're inspired to do, then you're doing the right thing. Right? Like you're doing the right thing. If inspiration comes to you to do that, you're doing the right thing. But that was that was your demeanor on at school anyway. Like you was just, I mean, you like to have fun. Yeah, you like to dance. I remember that. You definitely like to dance. But you just a cool person. So and you like to help people. So you being in DCF or you being in the domestic violence thing, that's right up your alley. So how long have you been doing yoga?
So I got into yoga. My first experience with yoga was with Bikram yoga. So that's a certain style of yoga. It's a hot yoga and it's a certain number of poses and breaths. So it's very like rigid, very routine. I got into that when I was a domestic violence counselor, and one of my coworkers was a white woman, and she brought me there. And I liked it. I was intrigued by it. I like to learn new things. So I would go sometimes and then I wasn't consistent. Fast forward, I got a back injury. I was at church and I fell and I got a back injury. And I started going to the chiropractor, going to the therapist, and it just wasn't helping me. So I started looking up exercises to do on YouTube. And lo and behold, it was all this yoga stuff, right? So, okay. So then I got into it, but then wasn't consistent. It wasn't until I seen this yoga studio that was offering a yoga class for depression and anxiety. So I said, I'm going to go because maybe that could help, my clients or whatever. I went to that class and it was life changing because in the Western world, we took yoga and we made it about exercise, but it's really so much more than that. So when I started learning about the key elements of yoga and what it really is, it changed my life. So to answer your question, I've been consistently doing it now for 3 years. You're on mute.
3 years. That's definitely that's the number of understanding. But they say that our minds, our body, and our spirit are so intimately linked to one another that the experiences that we have is stored up in us. And sometimes like a pain or an ache or whatever, it's really an emotional thing that your body is trying to tell you, but we don't listen to it and we just throw pills down our throat or whatever and not really just listen to our body. So yoga it's an Eastern thing, but it's more of an Indian thing, right?
Mm-hmm. So it has its roots, yes, in India. And believe it or not, it has its roots in Africa also, as
Okay.
most things do. Um, a
But
lot,
let me correct you. As all things do.
as all things do, yes.
All things,
So,
right?
so yes, it's Eastern practice, and also India has a lot of influence on it. Also,
So
to tell you
it's not
the truth, go
really,
ahead.
sorry for cutting you off, but so it's not actually like when you think of when you think of um yoga, a lot of people think of exercises, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right? They think about how how you can stretch or be more flexible or whatever, but it's really a particular practice underneath Hinduism, right?
Well, I just want to be clear that it's not a religion at all. Okay.
Right.
So there's some beliefs in Hinduism and Buddhism, even in Christianity, but people usually throw that out the window. So yoga, like you said, it's not about only exercise. There's 8 limbs of yoga, 8 limbs. Asana, which is the poses and everything, that's the third limb. So
Mm.
before that, there comes uh, ahimsa. That's nonviolence. There is no way that you can even practice yoga if you have any form of violence in your heart, in your head, in your mind. Be kind to yourself as you're kind to others. That is the first limb of yoga. The first thing. The next one is satya, which is truthfulness, right? So be true to yourself, be true in all things. There is so much that goes under this that people don't recognize or don't tap into because it's all about the poses. But that is I want to say probably the least of yoga. And just to give you a little history, the reason why the asanas or the poses, the exercise practice came into place is that when meditation was done, they would sit so long in meditation that it would, yeah,
Stretch.
exactly. So that's how the asanas came to play and how they really became such a big part of yoga.
When I think about yoga, I think about Kung Fu.
Mm?
Like I think
Why?
about because Kung Fu is sort of the same thing. Kung Fu doesn't promote violence. Like it promotes like protection. But and Tai Chi, the same thing. It
Yeah.
doesn't it's about energy, right? Like it's
Yeah.
about energy. So when I think about it, I think about like, the old Asian guy with the long white beard and, he's sitting there or or the Dalai Lama. I think about the Dalai Lama when I think about that. But I never really got into it because it looked like it took a whole lot of mental fortitude to be able to, right?
Yes.
So how do you get over that hump of the mental fortitude part?
Because when I stopped looking at it as just exercise and I started looking at it as a healing practice that was available to me, I started getting more interested in it. And the ahimsa part was real big for me. Because when we think about violence, right, we think about somebody maybe hitting somebody or shooting somebody. But the violence that I was spewing from my mouth or the thoughts that I was having or what I was having in my heart for other people and sometimes for myself, I started there. And when I started being able just to release like past trauma and things that were done to me through this practice, I knew that it was worth intentionally really learning this. And it's hard because, like you said, emotions are stored up in us, right? And our feelings are coming out or they're coming up, and we don't want to pay attention to that until we started having somatic experiences, which is when our emotions then start affecting us physically. So now the backache, that's related to something emotionally. The shoulders, the feet, all that is related to something emotionally. So when I really started becoming still and really realizing what was going on, that's how I got through the mental fortitude to say, I need more than what I've been giving myself. And this is a vehicle to healing.
Nice. I remember my first encounter with yoga. You probably too young to remember this, but they had this show on TV called That's Incredible, right?
I remember that. Yeah.
Okay, so it's called That's Incredible. And they had this yoga guy, and they had this 3 foot by 3 foot glass box. And this guy got in this he was like 6'1". He got in this 3 foot by 3 foot glass box, and they had this monitor attached to his heart. And he slowed his heart down to 1 beat a minute and stayed in there the entire show. Like now, at the time, did I believe it? Nah, I didn't believe that. But then as I got older and I like to read and reading a lot. So I saw that, there are people who actually can do stuff like that, right? Like who actually, you see the yoga guy, he'll meditate and he'll walk on some coal. He don't feel no pain or whatever. So I kind of looked at it as sort of something mystic. You know what I mean? Like really mystic and not like tangible or something that I can actually grab onto. So when you are teaching yoga, how do you get through to people to get them to understand that, look, this is not just about exercising?
So we always start with what we call what is called pranayama. So pranayama is the breathing exercises. Prana is life force energy, right? So that's what we have in our body. And a lot of times we give it away. We don't keep it inside. And that's when we start to lose our strength, our energy, our capacity. So I always start with pranayama, which is breathing exercises to, like you said, to slow the heart, to slow the mind, just to get people centered in stillness. I could have a 1 hour yoga class and we could sit in pranayama and do pranayama for 30 minutes because that's more important.
Right.
So that's how I get people to understand, to tap in and to go within, to say, This is your practice. It's personal. Then from there, we do intention setting, affirmation. So all of this is getting your mind ready to move. And all throughout the practice, I remind people there is no judgment. Be kind to yourself. There is no competition. And remembering that our breath is always available to you. When things come up on and off the mat, breathe. That brings you back to the present moment and reminds you that you are safe in this moment because you still have breath in your body. So I take them through all of that before we do any downward dog, any warrior, anything. We got to start from there.
Hey, that you just reminded me of Martin Lawrence. Woosa. Remember he used to do that all the time. Like when somehow he like woo. Man, so for me, like, I'm an older gentleman, I'm stiff. I'm looking at it like it may not be a religion, but it functions like one.
So it's spiritual. It
Oh,
definitely is. It definitely is a spiritual practice, but not a religion. So I often laugh because um, a lot of my friends, most of my friends are not into it, but they'll do it if I invite them. But a lot of them had questions about like the mantras and the chanting and things like that. And a lot of them, people have their own perceptions. And I'll just use Christianity because that's, what I practice and who I'm close to. And a lot of them like would make things up like it was demonic and things like that. And I'm like, they're actually speaking in a different language. It's Sanskrit. So it's not like they're calling in forces or anything like that. It's a language. It's Sanskrit. So when I started, you know, um, teaching them what that is and what it was, people were more open to it. But it's a lot of misconceptions behind it.
right. It's sort of probably like how the Muslims go through, and they may say Allah, well, we say God, but it's the same thing. It mean the exact same thing. But
One time my yoga instructor or my guru, she said something that made so much sense. She said, whether you're Catholic, Jewish, Christian, Muslim, she said, we all have access to God. And she
mm,
said, with the different religions, we make it seem like people don't. Like, well, you don't believe what I believe, so you don't have access. We all have access to God, all of us. So I thought that was so beautiful, and I always keep that in mind. I have no I'm not a judgmental person anyway, but because of what I do as a therapist, there's no room for judgment. So I invite people to come as they are and get the healing that you need. Because when people have misconceptions or they feel judged, they leave healing on the table. You can't. You won't leave $1 million on the table. So why would you leave your breakthrough on the table?
that's a good point. That's a very good point. So how has yoga helped you?
Woo. So when I really got deep into it, it was 2020 when the world as we know it just was interrupted. Um, the practice, the 8 limbs of yoga and practicing it all, it helped my marriage. It helped me to, like I said, heal from past traumas. It helped me to release. And what I mean by release is hear me out when I say this. I don't promote forgiveness. What I mean by that is I'll walk you through. I'm a therapist, right? And so if I tell somebody, you need to forgive, you need to forgive. I have one person who may be uh need to forgive their boyfriend for cheating. And I have another person who I'm telling, forgive your father for raping you. Like I feel like that's deep, right? To just say, well, you gotta forgive. So what I've learned and what I teach is release. How do you release it that it doesn't continue to hold on to you, that it doesn't continue to impact you, that it doesn't continue to own you? So when I started doing that work for myself, and of course, with prayer and meditation and just the movement of my body to release these things that no longer serve me, that is how it helps me each and every day. And I couldn't learn that, experience that, and then not give it back to people, especially our people who
Mm,
feels like there's no room for us in this world. And I'm here to say, yes, there is.
Well, you know me. You know how I've always been. I'm black and proud all day. Always been like that. You know what I mean? And whatever information I can give a brother or a sister that can help them, their life be better, then I'm gonna share it with them, right? Like I'm gonna share it with them. And you're the same way. You've always been like that. You've always, you know. But this is the thing, because when you was talking about the prayer and the meditation, right? It's crazy because Islam itself sort of incorporates pseudo yoga into the way that they pray, right? Like you have rak'ahs, you bending over, you're stretching, and then at some point you're saying a salat, but it seems like a mantra. You know what I mean? It seems like a mantra, and I think those mantras are used or sort of like a portal, right? They open up the portal, and for you to go in and get what you need, and then come back out. So I want to, my father's calling. I want to try yoga, but I don't want to look crazy. I don't want to look crazy. I mean,
So
Tonisha.
I'm glad you say that, because a lot of people won't try it because they think they're gonna look crazy. Let me tell you something. One of the first lessons that I learned: to stay on my mat. Stay on your mat. I tell people all the time, stay on your mat. In real life and in a yoga class. Because if you're on your mat and you're focused on somebody else, you're definitely going to fall out of that pose. You're definitely not going to be able to balance. You're definitely not going to be able to do what you're supposed to do because you're so busy looking at someone else and comparing yourself to someone else. Stay on your own mat. So then I took that off the mat. I stay in my own space, my own business. I don't have time for nobody else stuff rather than just to pray and uplift them. But other than that, I got my own stuff. We all got our own stuff. Right. So you won't look crazy because nobody's going to be looking at you. And secondly, you are not going to judge yourself in that moment. You're going to do what your body allows in that moment. And that's it.
I'm gonna try it eventually, but I know. Listen, Nene, I watch basketball, and my mind say I can do that. That's what my mind say. I could do that, but when I get on the court, the body say, "No, hell, you can't. You cannot."
Listen, that's how I'm telling you. It's so. I was watching the news the other day. This woman turned 100 years old, a Black woman. She's in a swim group and she does yoga every single day. She's 100 years old. She still swims and does yoga. When I tell you, your body gets stiff when you stop moving it. But the more you move it, the more like it's going to cooperate.
Right.
But we believe in our mind, like, I'm too old for this. I can't be doing this. No. Yes, you can. But you do what you can do, not what I can do. But what you can do. And that's enough.
And it's crazy because when we were growing up, they give us little gems, but we didn't take them seriously. Like what they say, you either move it or lose it, right? Yeah. Either move it or lose it. They would tell you that you either move it or lose it. And these are little gems, and you're absolutely right. As long as you're staying, because I believe the body is designed to live forever. I believe that the body, the way it's designed, it heals itself eventually,
It heals itself.
It heals itself. So I think it's designed to live forever. I think we kill it by the things that we do, the food that we eat, the poison that we consume. And I think we, shorten the body's clock, by the things that we do. And anything that can help me. And I'm not trying to live long. I'm just trying to live better. Right. I don't look, because if I lived a good life, then however long it was, it's still good.
Wow. Yeah.
Right. It's still, if I lived a good life, if I was happy, not necessarily successful, but I had a roof over my head, bills paid, food in my stomach, can go to some places that I want to go to, and I'm happy, then no matter how short or how long that life was, it was a good life.
I like that. Yeah.
Right? It was a good life. So what I do is when I come on these shows and I listen to people like you, I try to take gems to help me live that good life.
Mm-hmm.
Help me live that good life. So if I was to start yoga, what would be your suggestion for me? Like, is there a beginner yoga? Like,
Yes. Yes, of course. And listen, the more the more I hear people say they couldn't do it, the more I got educated in different types of yoga. Like, for instance, my mother will always say, well, I can't get on the floor. Well, I can get on the floor, but then I can't get back up. That was always her excuse. So I went and I got certified in chair yoga. I was like, well, then we're going to do it in the chair. So there's all types of yoga. I specifically teach. So I got certified in chair yoga, yin yoga, meditative yoga. So I teach a vinyasa flow. So the difference is with vinyasa, you do yoga moves, but you could just flow with it, literally. Like, depending on what the instructor feels, your classes look different each time. So with yoga, there's thousands of poses, but there's some there's some poses that you will see every class, and what we call them is sun salutations. So if I was to have you take a beginner class, I will teach you the sun salutations. And what that looks like is, so one thing I want to remind you of with vinyasa flow and yoga in general, your breath is matching your movements. Once you stop breathing, you stop doing yoga. So your inhalations and your exhalations are very, very important. So if I was to teach you a basic yoga 101, it'd be inhale, lift your hands up over your head, exhale, touch your toes. Yep. Inhale, come back up, touch your knees. Exhale, touch your toes. Meet me in a plank position. Inhale the breath all the way down. Exhale, upward facing dog to downward facing dog. Walk your feet in between your hands. Come back up to forward fold. Inhale, arms up overhead. Back down to Tadasana mountain pose. That could be a whole class right there. You're on mute again.
right there, that would be a whole class right there. That.
Right there.
Also reminds me, that's what they teach you when you're lifting weights too. Like when you're lifting weights, whenever you are pushing the weight, you exhale, and then when you bring it back, you inhale.
Yes.
So it's the same thing. So breathing is important, huh?
So important, and people don't understand it. And I know, when somebody's like, having a bad day or having anxiety, the first thing people usually say is just breathe. And it becomes so like, oh, everybody says that, but it's so important. And we forget. That's the first thing we forget to do. We start holding our breath when things get tough. Like, no, breathe. Another thing that I learned that we do is, when you get in pain and the first thing you do if your stomach hurt, you like crunch over, right? No, release. Like, open your body. Let it go. Allow it to release. Don't hold it in. So it's a lot of things that, like you said, the body heals itself, but we don't give it time. We don't rest. We just want to run. We just want to worry about things. It's just, like you said, it's just so much toxicity that we invite in.
And Tonisha, Tonisha, it's wonderful that you're doing this, because I really do believe it's right down your alley. Like, it's right in your sweet spot. So, but and it's also wonderful for me to know that I know somebody that teach yoga. You know what I mean? Like, I know somebody that teach yoga. So if I ever need any type of yoga assistance, I know where I can go. But a lot of Black people, right? And when I say Black, I do mean Americans, right? I mean Americans. Like, we're weary of a lot of stuff that we don't know, right? If we don't know it, something wrong with it. If we don't, think about it, something wrong with it. But we don't take into account that everything that we know was taught to us by people who wanted to enslave us.
Mm-hmm. Say it again, please.
You know what I mean? Like everything that we know was taught to us by people who want to enslave us. So when someone like you, who look just like me, go through the same things that I go through, come to me with some new information, I should welcome that. Right? Like I should welcome that with open arms. But what we do is she don't know what she talking about. Ain't nobody doing that voodoo stuff. You know what I
Exactly. Exactly. Exactly.
mean? And but a billion people in the East practice this. A
And
billion people.
they live much simpler lives. They're happy, they're at peace. Or if they're not, they know what to reach for. With us,
Right.
it's like even when you just said, about being successful, it's like the things that we even think is success don't even make sense. Peace of mind is success. Safety, like you said, is success. Being well, that's success, right? But we don't even look at it like that. It's just so much just like noise that we allow in that we think is what we're supposed to be doing or what we're supposed to be focusing on. There's no anytime, like you said, anytime I ask somebody, just practice stillness, just go within and just shh. People can't do that.
Right.
They don't want to do it. They're like,
Right.
I just keep thinking, it's okay. Your thoughts will come, let them float. But just be still. They can't do it though. That's the hardest thing for people, just to be still.
Hey, I would imagine though, especially if you live in a city, right? If you live in an urban environment, right? Like when I first went to New York, I couldn't believe how light it was at night. Right? Like I'm in the country now, and then when it get dark, it's dark. You know what I mean? It's dark down here. But in New York, there ain't no dark. No darkness. And if there's no darkness, then that means there's always something happening. You know. So yoga how did it help your marriage? Because you went right through that. So how did it help your marriage?
Okay, so yeah, like I was saying, it's 2020, the pandemic hit, and life as we know it is interrupted, right?
Right.
One thing about the pandemic, I work at the hospital, and my husband's a firefighter, so we never stopped working. And believe it or not, my son goes to a private school, and my daughter goes to a charter school, and they always had school because their classes were so small, they was able to go. So in that sense, that didn't change for us, right? But everything around us changed in regard to like you couldn't go nowhere, outside was closed, couldn't really be around your friends. And like I said to Norris, like I could be real like with my mouth and with I'm
Mhm.
real like and I don't care either. And like it nothing really gets to me or hurts me. Like I'm not that kind of person or whatever. And so me and my husband are good because I can go all the way off and he'll just look at me and like, I'm not entertaining this. Like he has that. But I was able to really break him down with the things that I would say and
Okay.
how I would then just hold a grudge and just be unkind, right?
Right.
And I could still go there, which is why I practice this every day. So when I started learning, remember I said ahimsa, right? Nonviolence, right? And it talked about how any violence you do to someone else is a violent act to yourself first. And
Mhm.
I knew that was true because after I would say those things to him, I didn't feel good. I felt terrible. I felt like, what was that about? It wasn't even called for. So
Mhm.
when I started practicing the 8 limbs of yoga and really like learning, like, number one, you don't want to hurt people, you don't want to hurt yourself, you want to be truthful. You don't want to steal from others. And when they were talking about stealing, they weren't even talking about materialistic thing. They were talking about like stealing people's energy,
Mhm.
stealing people's space, like things like that. Like you don't even think of, not even like these tangible things that we pay so much attention to, like none of that. Another one was non excess. Like, why do we have so much stuff? Why do we need so much stuff? Like, it was mind blowing. It was mind blowing, the stuff. I'm like, we are living so wrong here. But it wasn't, once you become enlightened, it wasn't on no judgment stuff. You know how some people come enlightened and they be like, oh, you sinning or you doing wrong. And it wasn't on none of that. It was just like, oh my God, I'm learning all this stuff just to become a better being. And it had no choice but your environment just to shift. Everything to shift around you. And when I started shifting, then the marriage started shifting for the better. You know?
It's crazy because when you said that, when you start getting enlightened, it's sort of hard because people get jealous, right? They're jealous, not jealous of you, but jealous of the joy that you now possess within yourself, right? Like, so, and they can't understand it because maybe y'all are in the same proximity to one another. Maybe y'all live in the same town or same neighborhood, or why is she so happy, or why are they so happy, right? And when you tell them it's yoga, that can't be it. It gotta be something else. But when you was talking about like the himsa and no violence and naming out the 8 limbs, it's sort of it just reminds me of the 10 Commandments.
Yes.
Right? And same thing with Islam, they have 5 pillars. I'm a Moorish American, and Prophet Nobuju Ali taught us that keep your wants and desires in the bounds of moderation. Keep your wants and desires in the bounds of moderation. Be moderate in the things that you like or you desire. Therefore, you can continue to enjoy them, or they will become an addiction for you.
Yes.
Right.
One of the teachings of yoga is that we should have no desires. And I'm like, what do you mean you should have no desire? And like similar to what you're saying, it's like, because once you get into that, then you become obsessed, or everything is about getting that.
Mm-hmm.
So how are you really enjoying it?
How
right?
you really enjoying it? Right.
Right.
How you enjoying it if you spending so much energy getting it?
And then
right?
once people get it, right? We see it all the time. Once people get it, they're like, I gotta have this, I gotta have this. Then they get it, and they're like, it didn't bring me the joy I thought it was gonna bring. And now they on to the next.
Well, think about it though. Think about this. All year long, your kids say they want a particular toy for Christmas. All year long, they want this toy for Christmas. All year long. Christmas come, they open it up, play with it for 5 minutes, and they done with that toy. Same way with your car. You get a new car, you keep that car clean for about a month, 2 months. It's clean, spotless. Can't nobody get in that car with, no dirt on their shoes or nothing. After 90 days, come on in.
Exactly. Handing the kids the food in the back seat. Exactly.
But that's because we living in, and that's just us as Americans. We living in a capitalistic society, right? And capitalism sort of conditions you to want, right? It conditions you because not only do you want what you want, but you see other people that have things. You're right, they have things, and you want those things too. You know what I mean? So, if you're not careful, you can find yourself living a life of just wants, right? Of you chasing everything that you want instead of doing what you need.
That is so profound. Say it again how you said it the first time.
you spend so much time just chasing all of your wants. Like everything that you want, you're chasing them. You want a new job, you go get that new job. You want a new car, you go get that new car. But all the while neglecting the things that you need. Because you spend too much time with the wants.
Yep.
Right? So I think that's what yoga does. Yoga takes you away from the wants. Right? It takes you away from the wants for you to concentrate on you and concentrate on the things that you need. And a lot of people, they sort of intertwine their needs and their wants. You know what I mean? They try to make them so close together. Like, yo, I don't want that. I need it. No, no, you want that, right?
Exactly.
So so when you do yoga, you're silent for one thing. Like you're quiet. You listen to the small voice or whatever you want. I don't know what it's called, but I know that you're trying to, in essence, leave.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
In essence, you're trying to leave. You're trying to leave and go to that place to where you can get what you need.
Exactly. And you talked about, you were saying like they were doing things where they could slow their heart rate and walk on hot coal and all that. And I'm not, pretending to be anywhere there. But it has been evidence that they were able to like just ascend. Like they were so
Hmm?
not connected to this world.
That's what enlightenment is, right? That's
Yeah.
what it is. And
Mhm.
isn't that how Buddha died? I mean, he was meditating and got caught in the full bloom of enlightenment. So, and because it's an old story, you tend to say, "Nah, I don't believe that." Because we done seen so much, and therefore miracles are more and I say miracles because they're just things that we name things miracles that we can't explain, right? They're not miracles, but because we can't explain them, we call them miracles, right? But now it get to the point that people don't even want to believe in miracles anymore.
It's so
They
funny that you say that because I do a mindfulness meditation about miracles. And what I tell people is quiet your mind and bring your awareness to your heartbeat. That
Mhm,
is the miracle. We are doing nothing in this moment to make that heartbeat, and it is beating. That
mhm,
is your miracle. I bring them that right there in this present moment. You looking for a miracle? That's it. Right there.
yeah. Hey, let me tell you something, Tanisha. I tell people every time, where there's a will, there's a way. And the creator created you with a will. So there's always a way. Right? There's always a way. Where there's a will, there's a way. And you're created with a will, so there's always a way. And you saying center your mind around your heart. Do you know how hard that is to do though?
Yes.
That, that's hard to do, especially when you grew up in an era like you and I grew up where you got the music, the fashion, all these things that done came into your mind, and you trying to sit down and block all of that out just to listen to your heartbeat. That's hard. That's hard.
But it's so
I can't,
necessary. It's so
you know,
necessary.
I'm not gonna be able to call you Tanisha, so I'm just gonna have to keep calling you Nene. So I'm gonna have to
That's
do
fine.
that. Okay. All right. So listen. So when now, how does it help with endurance and stamina?
So it's very so think about it, right? All of this movement that we're doing, you're lifting your own body. It's just your own body. So the planking to the push-ups to holding the downward facing dog, like we're putting ourselves in poses that we don't even think of, right? But let me tell you something, Denores. You say you can't do it, but once you did do it. Because if you think about most of the poses we do in yoga, babies come out doing that.
Yep.
They come
Yep.
out doing all of that stuff.
Uh,
If you watch a 2-year-old right now, they'll do they just running around just doing it. But
on their
somebody,
hand with
yeah,
what
but somebody tells us along the way, you're too old for that now to be having fun or laughing or doing that with your body. And then we start to believe it. And then we just start just becoming harder. And then it's harder for your arm to move. It's harder for your leg to stretch because your mind is not.
hey, you know what, Nene? It's like the older you get, the more information you see, the more you doubt.
Yes.
Right? The more information you receive, the more you doubt, because you're receiving this information. Let's say I'm receiving information on yoga.
Mm-hmm.
The more I see it, the more I see this information, the more information I got. Now, I think I'm an authority, right? Like I
Listen, listen, listen. I tell people I love to learn, but I am an expert of nothing but my own life. That's
right.
it. But yeah.
You know, you get you now you the authority on yoga, right? And if somebody come to you with a different way, nah, that ain't right.
And I'm gonna tell you now, that ain't yoga. It's not. And like, and you know, I'm in a lot of yoga groups and things like that. And sometimes, people learn differently and they learn for different reasons, or, some people didn't take it as the spiritual path. They just took it as the exercise path. Um, I let people be, but it's so much more than that. And if your heels don't touch the mat when you're in downward facing dog, you still doing it. Like, it's okay. And I've learned to take that off the mat and be like, just let people be, let people live. If they're not hurting you, hurting themselves, just let them be until they learn the information that they need to evolve.
Hey, I need a lot of information because I'm trying to evolve all the time. So
Me too.
hey, and you know, it's crazy because it's like I put something on Facebook the other day. I said there's 8 billion people in the world. And that means there's 8 billion different experiences. 8 billion different experiences in the world, because you are a one of one. Whether you want to believe it or not, you are a one of one. There's nobody else on the planet like you. You are original. You are one on one. So if there's 8 billion different experiences, stop trying to get people to accept your results if they haven't had your experiences.
Yes. Like, isn't that, doesn't it seem very simple just to think like that? But no,
Because
people don't.
everybody want to be right.
And it's so, I just told somebody tonight, I had a session tonight with somebody, and I just told them, I said, do you know that you can grow up in the same house as someone with the same mom and dad, same furniture, same food, and they had a different experience than you?
Mm-hmm.
You
Mm-hmm.
can't say that they're wrong. That's how they experienced it. So you're exactly right. Nobody wants diversity of thought. No one wants diversity of thought.
And you know what? It's crazy because how do you not want diversity of thought when the creator is in all of you, right? Like the creator is in everybody. So that means that it's already diversity there. It's already there because he is in everybody, or she, some people call her she, but that force is in all of us, right? That force is in all of us. And you know how you know that force is in all of us is because how does the body stay warm? Like, how does it stay a particular temperature?
That's another miracle.
Right. There's nothing that you and I are doing. There's nothing that you
Nothing.
and I are doing. Nothing at all. But and I found out that it's the perfect temperature.
Mm.
Body temperature is the perfect temperature in order for your organs and your circulation to run properly.
And your body temperature may be higher than mine because that's what you need.
Right. Exactly. But there is a general window of body temperature
Yeah.
that I experiences, right?
Mm.
And once I realized that, and then I realized also, like, we're so connected that, like, it takes 8 minutes for a sun ray to reach the earth. 8 minutes for a sun ray to reach the earth. It takes 8 minutes for your blood to completely circulate through your body.
Mm.
Right? It's the same amount of time. So I believe that the creator was the ultimate scientist, right? Like he was the ultimate scientist, right? And and when he created us, because he gave us a will, because he gave us our own agency, meaning we can do whatever we want to do, we kind of go counter to to the design. You know what I mean? Like we go counter to the design in everything, not only in what we eat, but what we do, how we relate to each other, how we talk to each other, how we honor one another. Like we go counter to the design, and then going counter to design, you can't expect nothing but chaos.
Nothing but chaos.
Because the design is peace. Right? The design is peace. Man, Nene, I could talk to you forever.
but it's simple. It really is. Like you're saying, the design is peace. The design is kindness. Like I don't care whether what you subscribe to or what you say your religion is or your spiritual beliefs are. They're all rooted in that.
Yes. All of them. And you said something earlier. You was like, you got some people that do yoga just for the exercise.
Mm-hmm.
But check, if it's spiritual, whether they doing it for the exercise or not, they getting something. They getting something out of it. Whether they just doing the exercises or whatever, they getting some spiritual out of it. And I guarantee you this. And when I say if it's spiritual, not doubting it or anything like this, but truth is truth. Right? Like truth is truth. So if something is spiritual, then and you engage in it, then eventually it's gonna come out of you. Like it's just like me and you with our music. We love to dance. Like we love to dance. Our song come on, we're gonna dance because that is in us. Right? That is already in us. So with yoga being spiritual, whether you're doing it for the exercises or not, you're gonna get some type of spirituality out of it. Right? And you're gonna walk out of that class and somebody may have bumped into your car and you're gonna walk out of that class. Oh, no problem. Just give me your insurance information. We'll take care of it. Versus if you didn't take yoga, it may be a whole different story.
Exactly. Exactly. It's so true. And then when you were talking about like the sun rays, 8 minutes to reach the earth, and then 8 minutes for our blood to circulate through our body. I believe we are so one with nature, and people forget that too. My friends laugh at me. They go, "What are you doing?" I go, "I'm going to set my intentions under the moon." They're like, "Here she go." Like, but I'm like,
I want to ask you, right? So with this yoga, you gotta be one of 5 Black people in these classes.
all right. So first of all, I'm in Connecticut. You know that. So there is many times that I am the only one. The studio, the hot yoga studio that I teach at, I'm the only instructor of color. When I went,
excuse me, I don't cut you off. You ain't color. You original. Don't.
I'm the only original.
You ain't color.
And when I went through my yoga training, there was 3 of us.
So you're a forerunner.
Mm-hmm.
Forerunner. Mm-hmm. And it's good that you do that because Bridgeport could use some yoga.
Yes. We could stop right at ahimsa. We could go right there before we get into any postures. Let's just namaste, om, nonviolence. Let's just do this right here. Really?
For real. So do you teach a virtual yoga class too?
Yep, I teach a virtual yoga class. I teach at a hot yoga studio. I teach children at the Sheen Center, which is an after school program. So yes, so I look for the blessing in everything. And so when I started my yoga training, I started in person, and then the pandemic hit, and we had to go virtual. So that was a blessing because a lot of yoga instructors who were already teaching, it was hard for them to go and teach online. But I can do both because I learn both ways. So, you always got to look at it as a blessing. So yes, I teach virtual yoga also. And some people prefer that because they're in the comfort of their own homes. And say that again.
Nobody else looking at
them. Right. And like I'm about to say, like you think, ain't nobody else looking at me. But yeah, if I have my choice, I prefer it in person only because then I could really assist you into making sure that you're not hurting yourself when you're doing the postures and things like that.
And then plus, you want to see the energy. You want to feel the energy, right? Because I think, like, even though I love virtual, I love this,
Yeah.
but it's nothing like being in person with someone,
Right.
right? Because I can look at your inflection, I can tell that you're laughing, and those inflections may make me giggle too. But if I was in your presence, it would be more than a giggle. You understand what I'm saying? Because of the energy,
Right.
and and I think that's the one drawback for the virtual thing is you don't get to experience the energy.
Right.
So if I wanted to take your virtual class, where would I go to sign up?
So I have a website, and also I usually always I'm more than on the website. I promote it on social media, and then I'll share the link on social media if anybody wants to sign up. But I teach every Sunday at 6:30. I teach a 30-minute yoga session just to get people prepared for their week, calming them down, giving them the energy that they need, to prepare for their week. And I teach on Thursday evenings at the Hot Yoga Studio. And I also do a lot of like pop-up things. So if somebody like want a class, I'll go to them, different events. I'm about to actually put a workshop together for yoga one-on-one for those people who want to try, but they're not sure. So I've done couples yoga before to bring some intimacy into people's relationships. I've done that. So just a lot of different options that you can have.
I'm still here. Go ahead. I'm still here.
Yeah. So this a lot of different ways that you can get people into it that makes sense for them. But yeah. So
Okay. So if someone wants to connect with you, tell them how they can connect with you, Tonisha.
So on Instagram, I am Chakra Ivy. That's CHAKRA That's my Instagram name. And my website is www.influenceyogatherapy.com.
Nice. Nice. Influenceyogatherapy.com. I'm gonna go.
So let me tell you about the name Influence. I kept trying to figure out because another thing, Denoris, when I graduated with my yoga certifications, I was like, they don't hire us. They don't. Like we go through the trainings, but there's not a lot of instructors that look like us. So I said, I'm going to create my own because I want to bring this to people. And I kept thinking about a name, and Influence came to mind because that's what I want to do. Like, I want to influence people to the point where they know, like I said in the beginning, that healing is available. Like, so if I can influence you in any way to get healing, to just go deeper within, to connect to your higher power, that's what I want to do. So that's where the name came from, Influence.
Listen, Nini, you don't want to influence, you influence.
Thank you.
You have always influenced me. Your little girlfriends on campus running around following you all the time. So, all right. So we about to get out of here, man. But Nini, I want to thank you. It's been an honor.
Thank you for having me.
Come on, man. It's nothing. But I want you to keep doing what you do. Keep being Tonisha, keep being Nini, keep influencing people, and stay black. Well, you ain't got no choice but to stay black. But
exactly.
Be proud of it.
I am very proud, authentic in all spaces that I am in.
Okay. So before I leave, I got to ask you two questions.
Okay.
What are you doing to push the culture forward?
What am I doing to push the culture forward? What I'm doing to push the culture forward, like I just said, is staying authentic and also just representing the culture well. That's what I'm doing to push the culture forward. Learning, and as I learn and grow, giving it back. Okay. And also raising 2 Black children.
I know that's right. 2 original children. I know that's
original children. I like that.
Hey, so the next question is, I need for you to name me 3 famous Black people, but they can't be athletes or entertainers.
They can't be who?
Athletes or entertainers.
They can't be athletes or entertainers.
Yes.
Oh. Huh?
Don't be on a friend.
No.
You
My
can't.
11-year-old overheard you, and he told me Langston Hughes. That's what he wants to say. He wanted to say Langston Hughes.
Great. That's a great one. That's a great one.
Zora Neale Hurston.
Okay, you staying on the author tip. Okay, go ahead, do your thing.
My favorite, Toni Morrison.
Okay, that's enough because I got other guests and they're gonna try to. You're gonna give up too many answers. So Langston Hughes, Miss Hurston, and Toni Morrison. I don't know if I'm gonna give you Toni Morrison though.
Why?
Because she do like novels.
That's my favorite. I love her. I always have.
Because
Huh?
you are you, I let you get by with that. Because you are you, I let you get by with Toni Morrison. Because you are you. Right? Okay. Toni, that's those.
Oh.
You sound like Odie. Odie gave me 3 authors too.
I sound like Odie.
Yeah, you sound like Odie. Odie gave me 3 authors as well. And I love his book. But we got to get out of here, Tonisha, because I got the idea coming up at 9:30, so I got to get ready for that. If you're not busy, or watch it later on, man. I'm trying to become the richest black man in America, all through donations. That's what I'm trying to do.
Love it. I definitely will. Okay.
All right.
Thank you so much, Denora.
Everybody, Tonisha Cohen King. That was Tonisha. Great young lady, great individual, great information. I'm gonna try yoga. I'm gonna try it. Don't know when, but I'm gonna try it. I just think hopefully it can help me be at peace and be calm and enjoy life more, when I'm not rushing around. But I gotta get out of here because the idea is up in 23 minutes and I gotta go to the other studio. But remember, I love you. And always, as always, in order for you to receive a blessing, you must first be a blessing. Check me out, 9:30, same channel tonight. The idea.
Welcome to the Peachy King. Welcome to the Peachy King. Welcome to the Peachy King.
Oh wow, I can't just make a banger.
What's up, Gaffney, South Carolina? I'm coming to the Peachy King Bar and Lounge. You heard what I said. March the 18th, it all goes there with your boy Antoine Scott. Gonna be in the building. The Peachy King Bar, I like that name on. Let's get in here. We're finna go to the Peachy King Bar and Lounge down in Gaffney, South Carolina. March the 18th. Showtime is at 9 p.m. Your boy is coming to town. What? Your boy is coming to town. Antoine Scott, listen, look at you. Peachy King Bar Lounge, y'all. Come on, let me see your face in this place. Come on out, Gaffney, South Carolina, boy. I can't wait to get there because I'm going to sit in the
And not to mention, if you are, a father, or, you have a family come home to you, now you, as the man, you have the pressures of trying to find a way to survive and provide for your family.
It's like 10 of every 12 boys that were sent to me had nothing wrong with them. The problem was they had never been taught. They had never.
I've completely separated myself from qualifying being in certain places because I'm Black. A lot of people say, "Oh, now's the time for Black people." So yes, you're gonna make it because you're Black. Your business is gonna make it because you're Black. Because everybody's.
But as a credit repair specialist, you have to educate them. Like, okay, I know that this is what you want, but let me tell you how to get to this goal. You have to set realistic goals, realistic time frames, and say, before I let you be a client, can you pay your bills on